What is up, everyone? And thank you for tuning in to Don't Say the F Word, Pro Wrestling and Combat Sports Podcast. Where we just do not use the F word when we talk about professional wrestling. Shouldn't let your friends use it either. It's Wednesday. We are a few hours away from AEW's Holiday Bash Dynamite episode. That's going to be a card with some good matches lined up. Last night we had NXT, which got just one thing to talk about from NXT because I did not watch the show. I haven't gotten pulled back into watching NXT. It's something I'd probably like to get back into. The New Day being there and being the NXT Tag Champs really has me wanting to get back into watching NXT, and some stuff that's happened around the world title scene I find to be kind of interesting, and I'm a little curious to see where they go because I'm going to talk to you about where I would like to see them go with it. So let's just start off and talk a little bit about Raw. I'm not going to recap the show. I'm not going to grade the matches because it's Wednesday. I feel like, just about everyone's already seen what they were going to see and have heard what they wanted to hear about the show. But to me, the biggest thing of the night was, of course, the Bloodline. The Bloodline kind of doing their best NWO impersonation. They were just causing havoc and beating people down. I feel like this is the way we kind of need to go with the Bloodline. I think it's time to, I'm not going to say like throw away the whole acknowledge me bit, but I think it's time for the direction to kind of change to being more feared than loved. I think that this would be the way to work toward the angle of bringing The Rock in against Roman to kind of stop the reign of terror. I think that we're really struggling with motivation for people to be against Roman. Like, KO has legitimate reason. And I mean, a legitimate reason other than wanting to be the champ. So having something that's kind of simmering in the background to add a little bit of story to the competition. Seth Rollins will always have something. There'll always be something for Seth to battle Roman with and have some motivating factors against Roman Reigns. But as far as anyone else on the roster goes, other than just simply wanting to be champ, there really isn't anything for people to hate Roman Reigns for, right? Like, Roman could easily come out and he could cut a promo about everyone's eating well because he's head of the table and he's bringing in the crowd. He's putting asses in the seats. He's the guy selling the tickets. He's the name on the marquee. He could do all the heel shtick. And I ask you where the lie would be, because he'd be right. And that makes a great heel. That makes a great villain in any story you ever want to tell, where the most evil person in the story is right. Joker was the most evil villain in Batman, and his motivations were always kind of right. He knew the spoils and knew the evil that lurked. Maybe his tactics were wrong, but his motivators were probably right. So Roman could take center of the ring with a microphone in his hand, and he could look at any challenger they currently put against him and go, okay, that's great. You're after the belt. You're not going to get them. But I'm going to sell out the arena. My merch is going to sell. I'm going to be a bigger payday. The comparative thing would be people calling out Conor McGregor. Even to this day in MMA, in the UFC, you have people from multiple weight classes who want to call out Conor McGregor because it's a meal ticket, right? And he said it himself. He told people, that's red panty night. If you're going to face Conor, you're going to get a big paycheck. And he's right. I mean, fighting Conor McGregor made Nate Diaz a millionaire. Beating him, getting a little bit more money and more notoriety. But the fact that he was fighting him made him more known outside of the inner circle of Nate Diaz fanboys. And I'm one of those guys. I love the Diaz brothers. But it made Nate Diaz a mainstream star fighting Conor. So Roman's that equivalent right now in pro wrestling and WWE specifically. Because other people could do it and it doesn't make any sense because they're never getting that match, right? So someone can call Roman out. Someone can be set up for a match with Roman. He can tell him, like, That's fine. I'll make you a star. And he's right. Now, if he's making people stars because he's beating them, and then you have that he's just working on running down the roster and just decimating people, and his bloodline and his family are working to just be so dominant and destroying people, much like the NWO, and causing chaos. And he takes a standpoint, he's going to destroy everything around him now. Now he's become so almighty. He's so powerful. He is the tribal chief. Now he wants to just destroy everything. I think Roman should change the belts too. I think if he should take the company logo be on the belts, because he's bigger than the 3 letters. And once he cuts that promo, that's whenever you start building The Rock. The Rock has to put him in his place. He has to take him out of power because he's gotten too egotistical. He's become too maniacal. And you work that angle. You can also work in some emotional conflict with Sammy, and maybe even you could work in, Solo's the one who called The Rock in to put Roman in his place because Solo's sent by the elders. Mark's story there. He likes that one. But I think this is the beginning of a new story arc with the bloodline of the evil that is Roman Reigns. We started there with his battles with Jimmy and Jay and establishing the bloodline's dominance. And now it's time to go full madman with him, I think. And I think in that you can, pull in these side quest storylines of your Kevin Owens, of your eventual Sami Zayn, whether they turn on him or Sami turns on them. Your Seth Rollins pull in. You can do these fringe things, right? But you got to have Roman's over with the crowd, and so is the entire bloodline. You have to have a situation where they at least have some heel heat going. There's got to be something, right? And I think this, NWO-esque angle is the way to go. It's got to be gang warfare. They got to, antagonize the heroes of the story. They got to be bad enough villains that there needs to be heroes. And I think this is really, truly how we get there, is with them showing up on every show and running people down. I think they should pop into NXT. I think you should probably work the Usos versus the New Day for the NXT titles. I think it should be the Usos are like, you know what? There's more gold out there that we want. We don't want the New Day to have titles. And have the Usos spend a couple weeks dropping in on Tuesday nights on NXT as we kick off 2023. And build that up. And maybe the match you build for Mania, you keep the NXT titles on the New Day. And you have them battling the Usos for a winner takes all. And then New Day goes over and you take those belts off the Usos at WrestleMania. You could do it in ladder match style. You could do something. I mean, those guys are going to put together a fantastic match no matter what stipulations you do, no matter what you do. But I think that's really where we should look to go. For Mania, it should be the Usos versus the New Day for all the tag team gold. Tie it all in. Whoever wins that, they're the kings of tag team wrestling in WWE. And arguably everywhere, honestly. I mean, come that time, I don't know that we have any, big tag team free agencies happening that you could throw somebody else out. But I don't think it should be convoluted. I don't think it should be a triple threat tag match. I think it should just, let's close the book. Let's finish the story of the Usos versus the New Day. Winner takes all the gold. And I think the New Day should go over. I think you have that celebratory moment at Mania where the New Day are the NXT tag champs, the Raw tag champs, the SmackDown tag champs. Big E takes part in the celebration. Big E recently did an interview where he talked about how his recovery is going from his broken neck and kind of where things are at for him of a possible return. And it looks like, we're still out till March, so Big E kind of has a better idea. It's when he said he has some major scans coming. So we wish Big E all the best. Be great to see Big E back being able to wrestle, but if he's not able to, we just hope he's happy and healthy. There's more things in life than being able to compete and do certain stuff. So I think there's plenty of opportunity for Big E to connect with people and, be an inspiration as he's been to a lot of people. So I don't think, if he has a limitation physically of not being able to compete, I think he'll be just fine. I think there's plenty of places for Big E to fall in the world of pro wrestling because he's just very charismatic, very engaging guy. I think a lot of people really, really appreciate who Big E is. So we wish him the best. Hopefully he's doing well, and hope we can see him back on our TVs in some capacity. But if not, just hope he's doing great. But I think that's the story we tell with the tag titles. You look to have New Day and Usos at Mania for all the gold, and I think that would be just top shelf, and that'd be really, really cool. I think it gives a good way to really get the belts off of the Usos in a way that is not damaging because they lose the New Day. That's fair. Talking about New Day, talk about NXT. We had a big callback last night to the days of WCW. Now I know there's a fan base out there that grown adults who weren't even alive when WCW existed. So they did a callback with Grayson Waller and Braun Breaker to a bit that was Bret Hart and Goldberg. Bret antagonized Goldberg until he came out and speared him, and Bret Hart had a metal plate under his hockey jersey. And Goldberg speared him into it, dented it up, and concussed himself. The story of Goldberg's life, concussing himself. Just kidding. But then they ran that back on NXT with Grayson doing the same thing to Braun Breaker. And I think it was a cool callback spot. You had Grayson kind of talking about people kissing Sean's ass, and Braun Breaker comes out and does that. I think they should just have this feud be a retelling of old things in WCW. Like, just keep doing callbacks to these different spots. That was a great one. I don't know. Maybe they could even incorporate, maybe Bret is involved in some way as a mentor. Because I do believe he has some sort of a WWE contract. I think that they could do the limo bit with Goldberg where he decimated that limo and ended up slicing that artery in his arm that put him on the shelf for a long time. Don't do that part. But maybe you have Braun Breaker just destroy a vehicle that he thinks Grayson is in. I think that would be cool. They could work in some other spots like that. I think that would be interesting. Don't redo Goldberg's super kick that gave Bret the concussion that ended his career. Well, ended his career. He wrestled after that. But I would say let's not do that. Let's keep things tasteful. But I think it'd be kind of cool to do those nostalgia spots and just kind of retell those things, not making it blatant. You could sprinkle in the reference of this is where he's learning it from. Maybe he's just the ultimate student of 90s pro wrestling. And I think that would just be really kind of cool. That'd be a cool thing to do. Some stuff like that could certainly get me back to watching NXT. If you guys are big NXT fans and you're really enjoying the product right now, feel free, on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, right on YouTube, leave a comment. Let us know what it is you're loving about NXT and what should really be hooking you back in. I haven't been, at one point in time, I was a huge NXT fan. Like the Black and Gold brand was my jam. Way better than main roster. We're talking the heyday of the Gargano Ciampa story being told when Aleister Black was there. All these, the top stars that we have on AEW and main roster WWE today were like the guys who helped get me back into loving pro wrestling in their NXT careers. And those runs were fantastic. But as AEW came and really grew, it really pulled my time of watching NXT away. I love the Undisputed Era, and then once Cole left, I didn't even dabble back. Like once Cole was gone, I couldn't tell you the last time I watched a full episode of NXT. I try to keep up with it a little bit here so I can reference things for people. But there's a lot of pro wrestling out there. There's a lot of great pro wrestling out there. So it's hard to watch everything. There's plenty of guys out there who find a way. They find a way to make it happen. But if there's something that's just truly awesome in NXT that I'm missing out on, please let me know. Comment on the video here on YouTube. Find us on social media. Don't Say the F Word Podcast. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Instagram is probably the primary one, honestly. But let us know. Me and Mark, Mark, you want to watch NXT, bud? Yeah, I do. All right. And see, he wants to watch it, so he's sleeping. But I don't know. It's hard to keep up with literally everything. So let me know what I'm missing out on that I shouldn't be missing out on. We do, AEW tonight. Mentioned AEW pulled me away from NXT. We do have that full. Well, what's been released as the full card at this point, it's AEW, so there's always going to be a little bit more sprinkled in throughout the show. But we do have the makings of a good card. We have, we're going to hear from Bryan Danielson and Ricky Starks tonight. So they're probably going to set up whatever their next programs are going to be. I don't know so we still have the Blackpool Combat Club is still going to exist without Regal. I don't know what you do with Ricky after this. I mean, Bryan Danielson, you can just have him at whatever matches. He's going to make someone look really good. He's going to put on a quality match. It's going to be hard hitting, and he's going to get chopped up. I don't really know what you do with Ricky. Ricky Stark's a very talented guy. He's decent on the mic. He's very good. I wouldn't say he's great, but he's going to be there. He's going to be great in his promos. It was cool that he went off script with his promo with Max, and that was very heartfelt, and you could tell he put a lot into that. There was a lot of emotion there. I don't think you have him do promos like that all the time, though. You don't want to dilute that and have that be kind of cartoony. I just don't know where you put him in a feud. I don't know what his next program is. Hopefully they don't just throw him in a tag team. But I don't know who you have him work with. I don't know. I don't know what you do with him because he's had some reasonably good feuds with some top guys that are kind of lost in the mid card of AEW now because of the signing of everyone on the planet and just the questionable booking of AEW at this point. So I don't know where Ricky Starks falls. Hopefully we'll get an idea tonight through his promo when we hear from him. Same thing with Bryan Danielson. Hopefully we are going to move past the Blackpool Combat Club and JAS nonsense. It's not a good feud between these two factions. It's fallen flat more than it's hit things out the park. The JAS itself is not a quality faction in my honest opinion. But we'll see what happens, right? We're also going to have Jim Ross sitting down with Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland if they're face-to-face. So I guess this will be where we start to work toward the program of these two wrestling each other and dissolving the tag team. It's about time. Keith Lee being this tag team hasn't really, not that they've been bad. They put together really good tag team matches, but I think whenever AEW signed Keith Lee, we really wanted to see Keith as a single star. So hopefully they'll build that program. We'll get that match at the next pay-per-view, and then we can move forward and see Keith Lee's potential on the AEW roster as a single star and see where he can go and what he can do. We are going to have a AEW Women's World Title match, Jamie Hayter versus Akira Shida. We're also going to have FTR versus the Gun Club. I guess we're probably going to incorporate the Firm in this, I'd imagine, to cause some shenanigans. I think FTR might be slowly working their way out the door in AEW to kind of move on and go and spend a year on the Indies and then probably end up back in the Fed. So they'll probably work on putting some younger guys over on their way out. I don't know when their contract ends, but I know they don't have years left, and they've talked about what they want to do after, and it may not be staying in AEW. But I imagine we're going to throw the Firm in there because they don't follow what the gimmick is supposed to be. Kind of hate that they set it up as hired guns in the Firm. It kind of reminds me of WWE is going to do the same thing with Bronson Reed has returned on Raw. You guys, I'm sure everybody knows that. I didn't talk about Raw, but Bronson Reed's a great wrestler. I did see his stuff in NXT and seeing a lot of his stuff from New Japan. He got a clean win over Okada. Just a big guy. They did the whole thick boy thing with him. That was pretty cool. As a husky dude myself, kind of appreciated that. I hated that Brendan Schaub stole it for his clothing line because, well, Brendan's kind of a douche, but that's a different story. But I think they're going to, he helped The Miz beat Dexter Lumis and got paid off. So giving the idea he's a mercenary just doing things for the money. If you have someone playing that gimmick, they have to keep doing things for the money. So next week, you should probably have Dexter Lumis pay him off to take out The Miz. That way you don't have that new guys affiliated with The Miz for too long nonsense, because that seems to be the intro of someone coming back. They have to have a feud with The Miz. They did it with Dexter. They did it with John Morrison. They did it with so many people. And I don't think The Miz needs to be the welcoming committee for guys coming back to WWE. So I think that if you're going to do the mercenary thing, you got to run with it full clip and give it time. The firm said they were mercenaries with MJF and then did everything contradictory to being a damn mercenary. They had their own agendas. They all wanted to be champions. They then got mad when MJF no longer needed them. And now the Guns are going after titles. Like, the firm thing's dumb. Like, what a botched idea of throwing another faction together for the sake of having another faction in AEW. Really just bad booking, bad creative. The whole thing's bad. And Jericho, whenever he was in the Inner Circle, said that about Hager whenever he was Swagger in WWE. It was terrible creative. Well, I have no idea what anyone thinks the firm is. But if you're a fan of the firm, like I'm a fan of the guys in it, the guys who are part of the firm do great work. Except, I mean, they all do good work. They're all very talented wrestlers. They're just giving crap. You took W. Morrison, you're calling him Big Bill. Crap. You say you're mercenaries and then you have your own agendas. That's crap. Like, just figure this stuff out and make these people have good purpose behind the characters. I think it could be something, but I don't know. I don't think they're going to do that. But then we also have, sorry, I really went off the rails on that one. Like, we have the match 5 of the best of 7 series between Lucha Bros, Death Triangle, Lucha Bros and Pac against the Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. So this is the no DQ night. So the way this is set up, best of 7, I mean, I don't see the 7th match is a ladder match, so we have to get there. So the Elite has to win everything coming up to that, right? Like, there's no way they're going to have the Elite lose and this is just done and we don't get to those other matches. Unless we're going to have that happen. Women forget it. We just want to go straight to the ladder match, which, again, the booking's been questionable as of late. So that's certainly something I could see happening. Hopefully not. Hopefully they just book this properly. The Elite wins like we think they're going to. But there's going to be a banger of a match. So, like, having a good idea what the outcome will be, not as important as the fact that this match is going to be really good. Then hopefully I will set up, the next matchup, which I don't remember what the next one was. I know match 7 is a ladder match. I'm going to have to look now. Let's take a look here. Take it over and go to AEW's Instagram. I'm sure they've shared it, right? Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. Match 5 is no DQ. This doesn't say what match 6 is. Should we get there? Hopefully I have an answer for this. Let's go. Dude's over at Off the Top Wrestling. I think shared me the thing. It might have the breakdown for me. Maybe. Oh, we'll also hear from Will Hobbs. There was another chapter in the Book of Hobbs tonight on Dynamite as part of the Holiday Bash. I don't know. I kind of like those segments. At the same time, I get where, people are giving them a lot of grief for kind of how they're putting those together, being a little too 90s gangster hip-hop. Okay, so New Year's Smash would be match 6, and that's a Falls Count Anywhere. So tonight's no DQ. Match 6 would be Falls Count Anywhere, and match 7 would be ladder match if we get there. Why wouldn't we get there? All those matches will be fantastic, so we have to get to seeing all those matches, hopefully. Then we'll have Rampage Friday night. I believe that is being recorded tonight, so I will not put out any spoilers. Just totally not my thing, to be honest with you. But that is it today, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Don't Say the F Word. Please, got this far, we're like 25 minutes into the episode. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Subscribe right here on YouTube and on Spotify. Being able to do the video podcast on Spotify is pretty awesome. If you go to our social medias, if you're interested in doing some podcasting, software I'm using is Riverside FM. It's where I will work to take chunks out and take little segments and post those up to social media. It's where I record the full thing and upload it to YouTube and to Spotify. Really great software. So if you're interested in getting into podcasting or just looking to dabble and learn a new skill, you can go on our social media. There's a link there. You can save some money. And there's an affiliate program, so I get a little bit back. It's not a lot, but hey, it's a little bit. Something so I can buy, new equipment and stuff if I need to. Or, if I need to pay for anything to do this podcast. But again, guys, thank you. It's much appreciated that you checked us out. We are Don't Say the F Word. You don't use the F word when you talk about professional wrestling. Don't let your friends use it either.